what's cracking. So yeah, y'all already know what it is. And it's funny because I remember when I first started really making videos and stuff, someone left a comment one day literally saying that you FBAs have no power. And as you know, I repeatedly said that you can tell that the federal government and the current administration is actually paying attention to what's going on. And the reason you can tell that is that every time a specific group comes for us, those of us that come from the lineage of the actual soil, no matter how you identify, there's always a blowback. And it always starts with TPS. Well, it appears now that Mr. Fishback, James Fishback, the gentleman that's currently running for governor of Florida, is now using FBA verbiage and ideology in his own political approach, which means that the things that we are saying are being heard and being listened to, and they're going to start reaching the Senate. Well, they already have actually, in that sense, reached the Senate and congressional floors. This is why there are delineation bills right now in California, as well as New York, so that we can become our own classification as foundational Black Americans, ADOS, Solon, the descendants of American chattel slavery, however you identify, whether that's Hebrew Israelite or FBA, or the indigenous copper tone natives of the land. But all of us belong to that same group. But with that being said, I'm going to play a few clips and then we'll double back. We're going to have this conversation because if you can't see what's going on and actually read and see the long game, this is literally like prophecy being fulfilled. And we're literally living in a time where we get to see and experience the return and the reestablishment of the tribes and the nation as a whole. And we're living, experiencing, and taking part in that. But anyways, we'll spin this block and then we're going to come back and have this conversation.
Whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox, and a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to, but the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling and you take him for a friend.
That. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
They're terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have. I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have. I mean,
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
As of right now, still endorses Randy Fine's re-election bid, despite that starve away comment. And they tried to cancel you for having a conversation with a certain someone. He's literally endorsing a member of Congress who told innocent children who were literally starving on video to starve away. That tells you everything you need to know about my opponent, Byron Donalds.
Well, I know Byron, and I've always gotten along with him. He's super cheerful. I didn't realize, is he ideological? I've never detected that.
No. That's why I call him a slave.
Yeah. And they called you a racist for that?
They did. Which is actually quite interesting because I got a call from the Foundational Black American Society here in Florida who reminded me that Byron's mother is Jamaican. He is Panamanian, and they found it quite insulting, in their words, that he would try to claim victimhood of slavery, not a single descendant of American slaves in his family.
I like those foundational guys.
They're so good.
Tariq Nasheed and all. I mean, I don't agree with everything, but like they've got a perspective. If your family's been here 400 years, and the descendants of a lot of American slaves or families have been here 400 years, I don't know. I think that gives. I'll listen to you. Like you've
100%.
got, you've got a point of view that is legitimate. I think.
Yeah. And they're unequivocally heritage Americans.
That's for sure.
100%.
I mean, they're definitely heritage Americans, if anyone is. And, someone rolls in from Ghana and gets an MSNBC slot and starts speaking on behalf of black people. It's like, shut up, honey. You've got nothing to do with this.
Right.
That's
Literally.
a fair perspective,
right.
I think.
And so it's good to actually see them call them out for that. That's actually cultural appropriation. Appropriating the struggle of slavery.
I totally agree.
And the struggle of slavery was real. I don't think Republicans ever want to really whitewash that. It's real, right? But for
we're
Byron,
against slavery.
We're against it.
Whether it's in the, West Bank or here or anywhere. Yeah, against it.
And so for Byron's group, his team, to call me and essentially our entire supporting base racists for saying that you're a slave when quite literally you took $45 million. You won't tell us what you agreed to take that money this early in a primary, which is unprecedented. You know this, how unprecedented that kind of money is in an uncontested primary until now. But secondarily, to actually go out and try to gaslight us and think that you're just one of those guys that has been here, since the early 1800s and your family was in the struggle too. You're not. And that's a very interesting term that the foundational Black Americans use. It's called tether. They're tethering these tethers like Byron Donalds. They come here literally one generation in, and they try to just sit around and act so folksy that we're all part of the same struggle and we're all down on and we need to fight against. No, you just got here, dude. Like the Haitians, like the guys from Ghana who just got here. You don't get to just be a part of our system and then lecture us about how our country went wrong.
Well,
and there you have it. I mean, there ain't too much else to say. But when they're literally outright saying, I really want to stand on this and I want people to understand what's actually happening. This has got to be one of the first times that I can remember in my 49 years on this rock that I've heard them start parroting the things that we have been saying for generations upon generations. But now they're saying the same things because it's affecting them. And they're outright literally saying, oh, no. If anybody is the quintessential American, it's Black Americans. If anyone can claim that title, it's them. And that's why they told you when they said that they were going to get rid of birthright citizenship and anyone 2 generations removed would be eligible for removal. But the only group in the United States of America who could not be removed were Black Americans. And this is why. This is their way of telling you who we are without actually saying it, because they don't want to ruffle too many feathers. Because remember, up to this point, everybody else thought we were immigrants like them. Wrong answer. And this is why they felt so comfortable being disrespectful after we're the reason that they even exist in this country and have the opportunities that they do. I mean, he's quoting Barbara Donaldson. We have been talking about this clown forever. AOC, all the rest of them, Ilhan Omar. They've been put on notice. And I've always said, every time they start talking shit on the interwebs, TPS comes and ICE is on the way. And now you have it now. Congressional candidates are now using the ideology of foundational Black Americans and the talking points, actually outright saying Tariq Nasheed. If that is not an actual show of force and letting them see just how much power we do hold. If you remember when I did the video about how to sell to a Negro, which was a documentary done in 1954 by the United States Department of Commerce. And they talked about how any party that wanted to be successful in any election had to get the Negro vote. Any corporation that sells a product and wants to get the #1 market share in the United States of America has to get the Negro vote. This is why Democrats convinced our ancestors to fight for civil rights so that they could import a new voting bloc, because they knew at some point we were going to see the play and wake up and reorganize. And we are that light. We are that it. Because remember, we're the only ones that can't be removed. And my question is if 13% of the population is right now actively speaking and manifesting, speaking through and manifest manner is 13% of the population is literally manifesting and speaking through the word. The removal, the beginning of the removal and the wake-up process of the fuck around and find out era for all the groups who have been disrespecting us since 1965. When they say we don't know who we are and we have no power, I don't know what else to tell them, but this is proof of that. And y'all should start paying attention and start moving accordingly. But it's too late because, you know, as one viewer sent to me from the book Isaiah, it talks about in the last days that everyone will be returned to the home of their ancestors. So pay attention to what's going on with the current census now in the United States of America. Not only are Black Americans now being separated from all other Black groups of the diaspora, even white Americans now, if you notice, you're starting to see that they're breaking it down. It's no longer just white what's going to be on the census. It's going to be broken down into ethnic origin. That tells me that they're getting ready for something far, far different than we think. And if they're starting to break down the Caucasians as well as into ethnic groups, remember how the Irish were treated when they first got here. So if they're now trying to identify who's who, and they've already openly talked about getting rid of birthright citizenship, but we're the only ones that can't be removed. And remember, the Roman Catholic Church came out a few years back and said that the doctrine of discovery was abhorrent and it needs to be returned, and that all the indigenous lands need to be returned back to the original owners of the land. But with that first has to come acknowledgement. And you know, the president of Colombia said some real telling things not too long ago. So, yo, pay attention and enjoy the ride. And don't ever let nobody tell you that what you're doing or what you're standing on is wrong, because by no means is it. And the fruits of the labor is what proves it. It's called a synchronicity. So they can say we have no power, we don't know who we are, we don't know who our fathers is. But in the next few years, everyone's going to be returning to the homeland of their actual ancestors. And they're going to have to make do and build. Since your civilizations and your cultures are so great, you're going to have to show us. Because remember, all of us were colonized at some point and under some type of apartheid regime. But it seems like Black Americans are the only ones that were able to create what we've been able to create. Look at all the different Black Wall Streets that were destroyed. Now remember, a lot of those property deeds, a lot of those bank accounts that were basically forfeited because when the people tried to reclaim it, all the documentations were burnt to a crisp where the bank kept the money. What that means is it's our responsibility to go through the public record, right? And do your genealogy. And then you start looking for all the unclaimed property and accounts left by your ancestors, and you go reclaim all those accounts and all that land. And that is the milk and the honey. Because remember, all birth certificates are literally bonds, and they're publicly traded bonds on the international stock market. So think about it this way. Was the 13th Amendment really to free us, or was it to actually trick the, under color of law, the white citizens, which has nothing to do with race or skin color? Because as I've shown you, all immigrants or foreign nationals under color of law and under United States Corporation are given white citizen status when they immigrate here. This is why they treat you the way they do and look at you as a second-class citizen. But all the 13th Amendment really did was it took white citizens under color of law and made it legal to basically enslave them too. That's why all of us have birth certificates. So you know that whole straw man thing, you are not the name on the paper, but you are the strong man. So you have to change the status on your birth certificate. So when they say, come up out of Babylon, my people, this is about reclaiming your status, reclaiming your nation and your namesake, standing on business. That time is right now, ladies and gentlemen. And you're going to either run with it or you're going to get ran through. And if you know who you are, you've done your genealogy, you know your family history, the time is now. We have nothing to complain about. We don't. And everything that we lost at the end of segregation when integration came, and that's why if you go look up the How to Sell a Negro, they told us outright what the whole purpose was and what they was doing. It was time to reclaim the kingdom that we lost. I'm going to get out of here, man. Y'all have a wonderful day. this is actually a time to celebrate for all of us because woo, shit's about to motherfucking hit the fan, boy. I'm telling you, when them fucking boots hit the ground, it's gonna take off running, and it's gonna be like a locomotive that they can't stop. But I always say it, and you know what it is. Realize, realize, realize. Transparency forces accountability. Y'all keep your eyes to the stars and keep that head on a swivel. And remember, it's a dirty game that they out here playing. But as long as you pay attention to the signs and move accordingly, you use they shit against them. That's why once I went through what I went through with 1199 and NYU Langone, I live in a one-party state. So I put this motherfucking camera phone to work. And I documented every fucking law they broke and every contract that they broke. And I'm going to let Jaco have a field day on their ass. And just like your man said, they're tethering and appropriating culture and they talking shit while they do it. Well, you know what? It's time to use them receipts and hold their ass accountable. I'm going to get out of here, man. Y'all be safe out there. And it's a dirty game.
Now is the time to trace your genealogy. We went through a paper genocide and reclassification. If you know, you know, but the federal government's been keeping records since 1776.